Good evening. The Philippine Coast Guard says it previously recruited Chinese nationals as auxiliary members of the agency, but they have since been delisted. The Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary is a voluntary uniformed non-government organization attached to PCG. During the House Committee on Transportation's hearing on Wednesday, March 20, Surigao del Norte Representative Robert Ace Barbers asks PCG Commandant Admiral Ronnie Hill Gavan about the recruitment issue, which was raised by Senator Francis Tolentino last year.
I understand that most of those recruits who were Chinese have the ranks of Brigadier General, Commandant, and all those things. And parang na-overtaken yung Coast Guard.
We went through a process in coordination with relevant intelligence and national security concerned agencies of government. And in fact, we have already delisted 36 of them. We did checks on their compliance to the standard set, and we found that they did not comply.
According to Gavan, these foreigners served as the agency's auxiliary members for about 2 to 3 years until they were delisted in December 2023. The PCG official says the delisted members have failed to secure a national security clearance among the requirements he imposed on foreign applicants upon assuming his post in October last year. He adds that they were still investigating how these Chinese nationals were recruited or whether they submitted pertinent documents for employment. Upon hearing this, Barbers suggests the panel look into the PCG members involved in the foreigners' recruitment process. He also expresses concern that these Chinese auxiliary members might have served as spies, especially with the ongoing conflict between the Philippines and China.
We should backtrack. Sino yung nag-recruit dyan? Bakit pumasok yan at wala naman silang compliance? Wala namang national security clearances. Bakit naging membro na auxiliary yan? Somebody, somehow, sometime, somewhere, have allowed them to become members of the auxiliary.
President Bongbong Marcos says the Philippines has no interest in attacking anyone amid rising tensions in the South China Sea. In an interview with Bloomberg, Marcos was asked if he maintains his stance that the Philippine military bases will not be used for offensives against China. The president is adamant that the Philippines will not attack anyone, saying he wants to keep away from war. Marcos admits that the country lives in an uneasy peace amid the South China Sea dispute, but maintains that it's peace nonetheless. When asked about the United States support for the Philippines in the South China Sea row, Marcos says that while Washington's support is felt, the Philippines will not act at its behest. The Philippines has a mutual defense treaty with the U.S., which Marcos insists he will not invoke unless the country faces an existential threat. However, Marcos says that for the sake of peace in the national interest, there is no purpose to heighten tensions by suggesting he could invoke the defense treaty. President Bongbong Marcos deems his meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken as absolutely necessary in boosting bilateral ties between the Philippines and the U.S. Marcos makes the pronouncement after meeting with Blinken on Tuesday during the U.S. official's courtesy call in Malacanang. During the courtesy call, Marcos tells Blinken that meeting with the U.S. is necessary as they discuss a wide scope of issues. According to the Presidential Communications Office, some of the issues tackled by Marcos and Blinken included efforts to strengthen the Philippines-U.S. alliance and increased cooperation on trade and investment. They also discussed promoting regional peace and security, defense modernization, and economic cooperation. Blinken's visit came amid an increasing tension between the Philippines and China, particularly in its long-running maritime dispute in the South China Sea. The U.S. Secretary of State reaffirmed Washington's commitment to defending the Philippines, including in an armed attack in the South China Sea. Senator Dela Rosa is offering to personally secure Pastor Apollo Kiboy if he decides to face the Senate. This comes after the Senate ordered the arrest and detention of Quiboloy following his continued refusal to appear at the Chamber's investigation into his alleged crimes. The Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality has been investigating the alleged sexual assault, forced labor, exploitation, and other human rights violations by Quiboloy and his Kingdom of Jesus Christ Church. Quiboloy earlier admitted being in hiding due to a supposed plot to have him killed. Dela Rosa says if Quiboloy fears for his life, the former police chief would personally provide the pastor security.
Kung takot siya, takot siya na undertake yung buhay niya, I can be his security. I can secure him kung while he's in the Senate. Yeah, I can offer myself as his security kung pupunta siya dito. Just for him to be physically present in the hearing. Pero kung ayaw niya, that the final decision is with him.
Senator Robin Padilla, a friend and staunch supporter of Apollo Kiboy, says he did everything he could to protect the controversial sect leader's rights. According to Padilla, his office did everything within the rules and procedure of the Senate in order to protect Quiboloy's rights. Padilla makes the remark after the chamber's issuance of an arrest order against Quiboloy. The Senate has been investigating allegations against Quiboloy of sexual abuse, human trafficking, and forced labor among members of his church, Kingdom of Jesus Christ. Padilla earlier blocked a Senate panel's motion to cite Quiboloy for contempt, but he failed to gather enough signatories to reverse the committee's ruling. Despite being vocal for his support for Quiboloy, Padilla earlier denied claims that he is defending the religious leader. He says that what he's doing is merely what he calls a show of democracy. Embattled military official Colonel Ranulfo Sevilla admits to having a relationship while denying child abuse allegations which caused the bypassing of his promotion as Brigadier General. His wife, Tessa Luz Reyes Sevilla, earlier accused the military officer of committing adultery and abuse against her and her children. The Commission on Appointments on Tuesday, March 19, bypassed Sevilla's promotion after his wife's testimony. In a press conference, the military official clarifies that he had a relationship with other women, but only after he filed for annulment of marriage to his wife. The official says he did so out of loneliness after the death of his mother.
Malulungkot ako nun. So, ako'y naghahanap ng katuwang sa buhay. Naamin ko yan. Nagkaroon ako ng girlfriends. Pero hindi sabay-sabay at hindi during sa marriage namin. That was only after when I filed a petition for declaration of absolute nullity of our marriage.
He also says the charges in violation of violence against women and children filed against him have already been dismissed by the court while categorically denying accusations of child abuse.
Yung sinasabi naman po niya na vowsy, ito po yun, may court order po, dismiss na po yun. Matagal lang dismiss. At ginagamit pa rin niya sa panlilinlang sa kung sino man. Nandito po yan. Kaya wala pong katotohanan ang mga paratang niya na nananakit ako sa aking asawa't anak.
The Philippines can become a $2 trillion economy in the next decade if it could continue key reforms and sustain strong economic growth. According to the World Economic Forum, a $2 trillion economy for the Philippines is possible if there are further investments in areas like education and infrastructure. If the projection of the World Economic Forum is realized, the Philippines could see its economy expand from its current size of about $380 billion based on latest government data. Separately, S&P Global forecasts the Philippines to become one of the small club of economies in Asia Pacific, exceeding $1 trillion in size by 2033, joining mainland China, Japan, India, South Korea, Australia, Taiwan, and Indonesia. In 2023, the local economy grew 5.6%, easing from the 7.6% expansion in 2022. It also fell below the Marcos administration's 6 to 7% growth target. For 2025 until 2028, the Marcos administration says the economy could grow by 6.5 to 8%. Senator Grace Poe says she is heartbroken and enraged over the brutal killing of a beloved golden retriever named Killua. Citing the Animal Welfare Act of 1998, Poe emphasizes that it is unlawful for any person to torture and maltreat an animal. The killing of the golden retriever sparked a public outcry with the use of the hashtag Justice for Killua. numerous netizens condemned a certain Anthony Solares who earlier admitted to mauling the dog. Solares claimed that Killua chased his child. CCTV footage posted by Killua's owner shows Solares hitting the dog, who was running around trying to escape. The dog was later found by his keepers in a sack. The brutal killing of Killua prompted Poe to hope for the immediate passage of her measure, Senate Bill No. 24508, otherwise known as the Revised Animal Welfare Act. The measure seeks to include mandatory animal welfare education in the curriculum for primary and secondary students, as well as create a barangay animal welfare task force that will enable local officers to address animal welfare concerns promptly. Here's the latest roundup of today's top stories. The Philippine Coast Guard says it previously recruited Chinese nationals as auxiliary members of the agency, but they have since been delisted. President Marcos says the Philippines has no interest in attacking anyone amid rising tensions in the South China Sea. And embattled military official Colonel Ranulfo Sevilla denies child abuse allegations. These are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.